Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you another FCS Game of the Week. And this time it takes us out to Carbondale, Illinois for a top 10 matchup between number 4 Northern Iowa and the 10th ranked Southern Illinois Salukis. And guys, this game is so intriguing and has me so excited for so many different reasons. We're going to break them all down in a second. We're going to break down the background for both these programs, the offense, the defense, and of course who we have winning this game on Saturday. But this is a game between a Northern Iowa team that was a top 10 team when the season began. A team that many had pegged to be a potential national title contender, certainly to make the playoffs. And now you're looking at them facing a Southern Illinois team that was on nobody's radar just a few weeks ago. A Southern Illinois team that they were like, maybe we'll be lucky if we can get to the playoff. No one expected them to be a top 10 team this early on into the season, and yet here they are, only one loss and just a few weeks removed from upsetting then number 1 North Dakota State and snapping the Bison's 39-game winning streak. So we are here to break down this huge top 10 matchup, guys. Will Northern Iowa kind of pick it back up? They're 4th in the country. They haven't looked like it. Or will Southern Illinois, sitting at 10th, continue to make their historic rise in the rankings and show that we're not just playoff contenders, we're not just a Cinderella, we're national title contenders? So you look at the background for these two programs right now. Northern Iowa, the Panthers, they lost their season opener 24-20 to South Dakota State. Lost to the Jackrabbits. Very hard-fought battle. Was a great top 10 matchup to kind of kick off this season. They bounced back, though. They shut out Youngstown State 21-0 and then beat Illinois State last week. Beat them 20-10. Remember, Illinois State was at one point the 7th ranked team in the country. So maybe they're not going to have the year we thought they would, but still an impressive victory to hold them to just 10 points. Southern Illinois, they're 3-1. Again, one of the biggest surprises of this season so far, and there have been a lot of them. But remember, they followed up that huge win over North Dakota State that we mentioned. A game where they didn't just beat them, they dominated the Bison, beat them 38-14. Followed up that victory over them with a 30-22 victory over Youngstown State. Had to come back from 12 to win that game, outscoring the Penguins 17-3 in the second half. So again, I think that proved that, yeah, Southern Illinois, maybe every win's not going to be pretty, every win's not going to be as dominant as it was against North Dakota State, but they showed that the win against North Dakota State was not a fluke. They are for real. And they have a chance to even show that they are even more for real. Prove to the nation that they are more legit if they can knock off the 4th ranked team in the country and Northern Iowa. So let's take a look at the offense here. Let's take a look at what the Panthers are bringing to the table in Carbondale. And I'll tell you, it's not much. They're not bringing much to the table. They have not eclipsed 21 points in 3 games. They have not scored more than 21 points in every game they've played this year. The offense is struggling. The Panthers are struggling to find any sort of life, to find any sort of identity. When you look at their offense, guys, what are they good at? If anything, they're just mediocre in all aspects of their offense. And really, the sluggish offense, a lackluster offense, it starts, I think, with their quarterback. It starts with Will McElvain. Only thrown for 496 yards, 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions, has not thrown a touchdown in his last 2 games. Let's keep that in mind. He threw a touchdown in the opener against South Dakota State. Last 2 games, he's only thrown interceptions. That's a problem. That's concerning. He's got to find his identity. He's got to find, consistency. If not, it might be time for a quarterback change for Northern Iowa. You look at their run game, it's not much better. They're only averaging 103.3 rushing yards per game. Yes, they are led by Tyler Huseman, has 131 yards and only 1 touchdown on the year. But again, even if you want to say, all right, they're more, run heavy, they're going to be a better run heavy team, we haven't really seen that in the 3 games that the Panthers have played. And granted, the way I look at this is the last 2 games that they have played, Youngstown State and Illinois State, who's kind of on the decline right now, they've won those games, they've won them convincingly. The last time they played a top 10 opponent was South Dakota State. They lost at home. Now they're on the road against a top 10 opponent. If you can't find offensive consistency, if you can't find offensive life, they don't stand a chance. It should also be noted that Northern Iowa has not had a touchdown drive that's exceeded 57 yards. So they've had relatively favorable field position, and when they haven't been able to move the ball down the field. You've got to be able to do that. Will they be able to on Saturday? You look at Southern Illinois, they're a little bit opposite than Northern Iowa. They struggled to find that consistency, to find that life in the first part of their season, about the first 2 games. It came to life against North Dakota State, and what a time for your offense to come to life. What a time for your team to have the best game of the year, one of the best games they've had in recent memory. They scored 38 on North Dakota State. Then they dropped 30 on Youngstown State just last week. Again, proving that the offensive performance was not a fluke. And they're finding that identity again through their quarterback in Nick Baker, who is, I think, right now exceeding a little bit of expectations. Has already thrown for 546 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yes, does have 3 interceptions, but looking at the yards and the touchdowns and the 65.6% completion percentage, that's very, very promising for the Salukis. You look at the rest of the offense for them. They've had at least 323 yards of offense in every single game. All 4 games, they've had at least 323 yards of offense. They're averaging 180.5 rushing yards per game. That is an outstanding number. That's a ridiculous number. And they've got multiple running backs putting up those numbers. It's not just one guy. They had 260 rushing yards in their season opener against Southeast Missouri State. They had 202 rushing yards last week against Youngstown State. They're more balanced. They're riding a lot of offensive momentum into this game against Northern Iowa. And if I had to pick a team to have the offensive edge right now, it would absolutely be the Salukis. No doubt in my mind. That now brings up the question, when you look at the offenses, well, and especially when you look at Southern Illinois' offense, how is Northern Iowa going to stop them? How do you stop a team that has scored over 30, at least 30 points in the last 2 games, has exceeded well over 300 yards in every single game they've played? The beauty of this, and the big thing for the Panthers here, is that the defense has been Northern Iowa's strength. We said they haven't really looked like a top 4 team in the country, and I would say mostly because of their offense. We say defense wins championships, and if Northern Iowa somehow wins a championship, it's going to be because of their defense. It certainly has been their strength, allowing just 11.3 points per game through the 3 games they have played. It's 11.3 points per game. They've allowed just 101 rushing yards per game, and that right there is your key number battle. The fact that they're only allowing 101 rushing yards per game, and Southern Illinois is averaging 180.5 rushing yards per game. What's going to give there? Are the Salukis going to continue to have a field day on offense, especially on the ground? Or is Northern Iowa going to step up, slow them down, and force Nick Baker to win this game through the air for the Salukis? Something that he absolutely is capable of doing. The problem for Baker is, if he has to do that, he's going up against a very, very dangerous secondary from the Panthers, guys. You look at the numbers, they already have done a great job of forcing turnovers. I'll give them that. They already have forced 3 turnovers this season. It's about 1 per game. They also have done a great job the last 2 games of holding their opponents to a combined 133 passing yards. Let that sink in. Youngstown State, Illinois State, they didn't have 133 each. They had 133 combined. Over the last 2 games combined, they've allowed us 133 passing yards. Say what you want. Oh, maybe Youngstown State and Illinois State are more, ground-based. Maybe they're just better on the ground than anything else. Maybe their quarterbacks aren't that great. 133 is a bad day and a bad game for one quarterback. Well, a quarterback goes out there and throws for 133. That's not very good. That's great for the other team's defense. 133 spread over 2, 69 passing yards to Youngstown State, 64 to Illinois State. That's unreal. You don't hear about that. It's ridiculous. So this secondary for Northern Iowa is very, very dangerous, very, very lethal. And the question then again comes, will Nick Baker be able to exploit any sort of weakness in this secondary? That is the million-dollar question, especially if Southern Illinois' run game is shut down by this Northern Iowa front 7. You look at Southern Illinois and the Salukis. What's their defense looking like? Talked about turnovers. They've done a fantastic job of forcing them as well. They have forced 5 turnovers in 4 games so far this season. Secondary, very, very solid as well, allowing just 106 passing yards per game. So, again, we mentioned it before. We'll mention it again. We're going to mention it again at the end of this video. This game will be won in the trenches on the ground. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind that it's going to be determined by the run games. That seems to be a strength right now for both, even though we do believe the passing edge would go to the Salukis right now. When you look at Southern Illinois' rushing defense, though, that's the major concern, and that's an advantage that they do not have. Southern Illinois is allowing a whopping 205.5 rushing yards per game. You heard that correctly. They're allowing over 200 rushing yards per game, yet they are the 10th ranked team in the country, and they are 3-1. They are 2-1 in games where they've allowed over 200 rushing yards. 2-1 in the 3 games where they've allowed over 200 rushing yards. The one game where they did not allow that, North Dakota State, of course. They held the Bison just 109 rushing yards. So the question again is, will their defense step up? Is Tyler Huseman for Northern Iowa, is he about to go off? Is he about to have a huge, huge day? That is the million-dollar question. That is the million-dollar question. Is he going to go off and have a huge day, or is Southern Illinois' defense going to wake up and play like they did against the Bison just 2 weeks ago? That's really going to determine the outcome of this game, 100%. So again, we're going to break down the final prediction here. Final prediction for Saturday, 4th-ranked Panthers, 10th-ranked Salukis, a game that will be decided on the ground. A game where it's going to be, can Northern Iowa stop the run for Southern Illinois? Again, a team that's averaging over 180 rushing yards per game. Can Southern Illinois not necessarily stop the run because, again, Northern Iowa doesn't have a dominant ground game, but you can drive trucks through these defenses, guys. You can drive trucks through Southern Illinois' front 7 right now, the defensive line, the way they've been playing. So can they stop Northern Illinois? Can Northern Illinois exploit those weaknesses in the run defense? Those are the questions we have to ask ourselves going into Saturday. And at the end of the day, when I look at these teams and you stack them up side by side, each of them have an advantage over the other. But it's Southern Illinois that has the most advantages. It's the Salukis that are in a better shape, in a better position to win this game than Northern Iowa. You look at it again, I like Nick Baker way more than Will McElvain. I love it way more than him right now when it comes to the quarterback position. So Salukis own the passing edge. Right now, they own the rushing edge. They own the offensive edge. There's no doubt about it. Northern Iowa owns the slight defensive edge. There is no doubt about that either. But the game is in Carbondale, Illinois. The Salukis have the home field advantage, and I think they're going to turn in a defensive performance very similar to what we saw just 2 weeks ago. The narrow victory to Youngstown State was a bit of a wake-up call. They're now a top 10 team, a little more pressure on their shoulders. They've got something to prove, and they are going to prove it on Saturday. The Salukis will improve to 4-1. 4-1. May see themselves jump into the top 5 by next week. And again, that is something that no one could have predicted. No one did predict just mere 3-4 weeks ago. And that is the beauty of FCS football. That is the beauty of this FCS spring season. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. We've got so much exclusive content down in the description for you as well. Check out our brand new Gridiron Expert podcast. The links for that all down there in the description, as well as tons of other links to help you get through this off season, to help you enjoy this FCS season that much more. Make sure to go check it out. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.